Hello, welcome again to Peppermint Wednesday. My name is Peter Roper. I'm known as the Family Businessman. I'm sharing here a video blog with questions I'm asked all the time by my clients. And the question today is very similar to one I recorded only very recently, which is, what do we do if the values of our supplier don't match ours? Before I've talked about our clients, now I'm turning it right on its head. What do we do if the values of our supplier don't match ours? Well, frankly, it's a similar situation to a client. In other words, you need to understand what it's about. You need to understand whether their values are about pushing you and therefore you need to reassess your values, or is it because, frankly, they just kind of don't fit? Now, with suppliers, with family businesses, I think it's a bit different. Most family businesses, particularly those that deal with a relationship type of business, if you like, as opposed to a transactional type of business, are totally dependent on their supplier base. If we took our own, for instance, we've got 37, 38 suppliers, I think it is. But I have to tell you that we work with only a handful pretty much all the time. And the others are occasional or reserves, if that makes sense. And the reason why we work with those sort of five, six or so, what have you, is because the value sets of the suppliers turn out to be very similar to the value sets of ourselves. We're clear what our values are, and we've, after a period of time, aligned ourselves with people who are different, but their values are pretty similar, the way they approach business, the way they approach things personally. And it's so important. At the end of the day, you are only as good as your supplier base. Your clients are not going to listen to you saying, well, actually, the values of the supplier we've got are terrible and they've let us down and all the rest of it. They don't care. They're only interested in the fact they deal with you. So my experience is that over a period of time, create supplier bases where they get you and you get them. Doesn't mean to say you're all thinking exactly the same thing, etc. But it's like that, so that eventually you can do that. That's how long-term relationships are formed. My experience tells me that in family business, that happens an awful lot more often. If I just go one stage further, though, with the supplier base, I think the other thing to think about is this. Family businesses tend to be very, very loyal to those handful of suppliers whose value sets are very similar. And they all tend to forgive things when things go wrong because of the fact they know that things were done with the best of intent, etc. But you have to recognise the fact that sometimes, unfortunately, even though you get on very well together, the value sets are right, things are working well, unfortunately, that supplier isn't quite where you need them to be. Perhaps they were, but they're not now. And that's where the usual business head comes in. It's a little different, I think, with family businesses. It takes longer, I think, generally, to say bye-bye to a supplier. The benefit of the doubt is given for longer. But eventually, you have to make some decisions. All I'd say is that when you look for a new supplier, the first thing you need to do is look for the things that perhaps you took for granted were there before with your previous supplier, and are the value sets aligned to it? Or otherwise, you could jump into the frying pan and into the fire, etc., if it doesn't fit for you. So, what do you do with suppliers' values? Align them with your own in the main. I think that's the key thing. So that's it. Check out social media. Send me an email. I always answer them personally. Let's talk about values with suppliers and supplier bases, etc. But for now, my name is Peter Roper. I am the Family Businessman. And remember, if I can help you in any way, just let me know. Thanks for listening.